hit Control S once again to save. You should do that quite regularly. I'm going to go into side view, hitting 3 on my number pad, and I am going to grab that, move it over here. You notice the center of it is above the piano keys, so I put it right there. Go back to my camera view here. It's kind of large because it's smaller than that in the original one, so let's scale it down some to about here. Right there. Let's hit F12 and see how that looks. I think that looks pretty good. It might be a little small. Our piano, I actually think that I've made our piano roll here a little too thin. I think maybe the original width I had it might be good. Once again, just having fun with this, practicing your skills. Let's move it up a little bit, hit F12. I think that's looking pretty good. Actually, I think I may have made it a little big. Scale it back down. You want to get the size right before we start animating it and setting keyframes for it. That looks pretty good. I'm going to lower it down just a little bit. F12 here. And render it out. There we go. That's looking pretty good. Once again, save it as often as you can. And we are going to now create the animation of that rotating. But actually, let's finish our camera animation first, because we have our camera falling, and then it just kind of stops there. We want this animation to be, I think, about 10 seconds, which is 300 frames. Actually, just short of 300 frames here. So right now we're at frame 261. Let's go to our rendering view here, and we'll set this to 261. And what we'll do is select our camera, go into top view. Actually, let's do quad view again so we can see a better understanding of what's going on. We can see our camera view here and our top view here. Make sure you're on your last frame here, so shift up arrow, and then grab the camera. Whoops, grab the camera on the y-axis and move it all the way down until it's right up on the lemon slice there. Hit I to insert a location, rotation, and scale. So now if we hit Alt-A, you can see the camera comes down and then moves in towards the lemon slice. Now, if you watch the original video, you notice the camera doesn't quite go straight. It kind of wobbles back and forth, and closer it gets to that lemon slice, it starts wobbling more and more and more and more, and that's what we're going to do. So let's go back to our first frame here, hit up arrow a few times. So we have our second keyframe at frame 21. Let's go up 3 frames, which would be a second, and let's kind of just go out of quad view here. So we're at frame 51 now. I'm just going to grab the camera and move it just a little bit off center and set a location, rotation, scale. I'll go up 30 more frames, or actually I did 40 more frames, and I'm going to grab it and move it just a little bit, you know. And I'll go up 30 more frames again, so we're giving it a little bit of wobbliness. And we're setting keyframes. I think I forgot to set a keyframe in the last one. That's fine. We can go back, grab it, and we'll set one more here. And at this point, I'm going to start going 20 frames and moving the camera a little bit. So up arrow twice to move 20 frames. And this is just making the animation more jerky as we get towards the end here. I actually think that we're pretty close right now. Might be a little too close. Maybe I should have started making it a little bit wobblier further back. Oh, another thing I just realized I forgot to do, and this is what's causing the problem. Dang it. Sorry about this. Press Control Z. Get rid of all those keyframes we just made. I apologize. I completely forgot to put a step in here. So we've got our original smooth path. Let's come up here or down here. Let's split this window up a little bit. Go here to Graph Editor with our camera selected and hit Control A. Now you'll notice that the camera has a nice curve. That means it's going to move slowly at first at each end and then kind of speed up and get a constant speed and then slow down at the ends. We don't want that. So with our camera selected, we're going to hit A to select all. Make sure they're all yellow, and we're going to hit Control T, not Control T, Shift T, and go to linear. Boom, that straightens everything out. That was the cause of our problem there, that we were getting up on the lemon way too early. So now, watching it, you notice it's a little bit better. Okay, so let's quickly go through what we were working on a minute ago. I'm just going to do that real quick. Whoop, don't want to move it that much. Once again, sorry about that. And there's probably a way that I could have done that after adding the keyframes, but I didn't want to. Well, yeah, I guess I could. I guess I could have just added the keyframe. I'm just thinking to myself now. Okay. And once again, once we get closer, I'm going to start adding keyframes in every 20 frames instead of every 30 frames. And then once we get real close, I'm going to start doing every 10 frames, because if you watch the original video, it starts getting real jerky towards the end there. Okay, so now we've got our animation. Camera comes down, starts moving in. It kind of is a little jerky, kind of moves back and forth and up and down a little bit. But as we get closer in, it's going to start moving jerkier and jerkier and jerkier. And if you watch the original video, that's what it does. Once again, save often. Okay, now let's work on the red circle that comes up behind the orange, or sorry, lemon slice right here. So you see that right there? We're going to create that. That's going to be simple to create. Once again, let's go to top view, space, or actually in this case, let's go Shift A, and we're going to go to circle, and we're going to rotate X 90. Going to grab that, move it back to here. Go back to our camera view here. If we scale that up and hit F12, you notice once again, you don't see it. And the issue with that is that we need to go into somewhere and somewhere there is an option. Oh, you know what? I think I added the wrong type of circle. Delete that. Shift A, curves. We're going to add this type of circle. I think that was my problem. Rotate on the X 90 degrees. Once again, grab it, move it back here. Once again, you won't see it if we render it until you go to paths and make it 2D. Now if we hit F12, there it is. It's not the right color though, and we haven't shed a texture to it, so it's not shadeless, so it's casting a shadow. We don't want a shadow. So we're going to go to Materials, New, and we're going to choose, once again, right here under Shading, Shadeless. Next, we're going to give it a color. So we're going to say Diffuse. And once again, you can just kind of eyeball a red color, or if you want, just use the eyedropper and cheat and grab the color from there. So if we hit F12 now, there it is. It doesn't have the black border. What I'm going to quickly do is just grab it. I'm going to hit Shift D, and on the Y-axis, move it back just a little bit, and then go to our front view and scale it up ever so slightly. Maybe not even that much. And with the second circle there selected, we're going to give it a new material. So what we're going to do is remove that material, because that object doesn't need that material. Remember, we're going to click New, Shadeless, and we're just going to set that all the way down to black. Now if we hit F12, there we go. Now, but we need to link those two objects so that they are in sync with each other. So with one selected, choose the other and hit Control P to set parent. So now if I select this smaller circle and I grab it and I move it, you'll notice that the larger one follows. Perfect. So now at this point, we've got the look of the circle, but we need to animate it and position it a little bit better. So once again, if we watch how the animation goes, here it grows out, then shrinks back down. And that's exactly what we want it to do. So first things first, let's get it positioned in the final position we want. We want it to look kind of like that. Go into camera view here. We're going to grab this, move it up like this. We'll hit F12. I think that looks pretty good. So what we can do is we can insert a keyframe right there. Well, let's see. Yeah, we'll insert a keyframe right there. And once again, I'm cheating and by watching the animation. I didn't do that in my original video. I kind of eyeballed the animation. But since we have the reference video right here to the right, let's use it to our advantage. So I'm going to go back a certain number of frames. Okay, right there is when that circle has grown out its most. So we can scale this up to about like that. Set a keyframe. And we're going to go back until it's about there. And at that point, we can scale this down and actually move it out of view, like so. And if we hit I, we can insert a keyframe there now. If we animate it, boom, perfect. Okay, we're almost done. We have to throw the signs in there. I think that's pretty much it. So, save it real quick. We'll go back over here to GIMP, and you can see I created these signs. These are from my original project. Basically, I created the image just by creating some boxes, coloring them in black, and then I picked a font that I liked. The only thing really to go over here that may not be simple is these little basically cutaways, the fading of the color here. I quickly did that by using some of these dirty brushes here. GIMP has a lot of brushes you can get online. If in Linux, if you just do a search for GIMP, there'll be a package called GIMP Data Extras, which has extra brushes. I don't know if this one, I always install the package. I think this brush might be part of that. But go ahead and install that. And basically, we have a red color here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Paintbrush. I have that paintbrush selected. Choose a color here. And I'm going to choose that red color that already exists. And I'm just going to, I'm sorry, I forgot this out of your view. So I choose the eyedropper, choose the red color, and then I just move this down a little bit to get a slightly lighter color. And then with this brush, if you use the square brackets, you can resize the brush. You can always do it over here, but it's easier to see if you use the square brackets, which, depending on your keyboard type, will be just kind of above the Enter key there. And then you can come in here and you can just kind of dirty stuff up a little bit, because if you look at the original sign, there is some artifact in there. So do that, save those images. Now I'm going to use these same images I created for the original project, but looking at them in the original project, definitely could have made these wider, or at least made the words smaller, because to stretch it across the entire screen, I would just made those wider and the words a little bit thinner. So just a word of advice, but just to save time in the tutorial, I'm just going to go ahead and use the ones I have pre-made. Real simple. I'm going to go into top view here, spacebar, plane, hit enter. I'm going to start just scaling this like this and scale it on the x-axis. I'm going to rotate it on the x-axis 90 degrees. Go to my camera view here, come down. And let's go, once again, I eyeballed this last time, and that's what took me a while, again, the animation of these right, so that they weren't too fast and hard to read. Let's quickly, and if you look once again, as I was saying, the words there, look at how much red is on the side of their words compared to on mine. That's probably my biggest mistake in making this project, was not spreading that out enough. And just to save time, I'm just going to use those, but word of advice when you're making yours, avoid that. So right here is where that sign has come down, and once again I'm going to cheat and use their animation, and I'm just going to scale this down a little bit, and then we're going to go to edit mode. I'm going to start selecting stuff, move this out. Oops. And because their signs aren't exactly squared, so there we go. If we hit F12 now, you'll see where that is. We haven't added a texture to it yet. So let's do that real quick. We're going to, or material, under material, new